Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another glorious, fantabulous hotfix of wonder and delight.
Is fantabulous even a word?
It is now. I've just made it up. It is of course our. Are you ready? You ready with the hands? Our laser focused. That was pathetic. The door.
Oh,
you know,
God.
You know where
Oh,
the door is. You just poke yourself in the contact lens.
Yeah, listen, my day, it starts off with poking myself profusely in the eye, and then it ends with poking myself in the eye. So basically, I've got permanent, pink eye, which is a thing, I believe. If you fart on someone's pillow, then rub it in their face.
Isn't it just
Pink
bodily
eye.
fluids in general you get pink eye from?
I thought it was farts that did it.
For some reason, I thought it was like a distinctly American illness. I've only ever heard Americans talking about it. I've never really been in a situation where someone from this country has said, yeah, well, I'm afraid someone farted in my eye. I don't know why.
Well, since we're talking about contact lenses, I went to the optician, and which I haven't paid for, by the way.
Yeah,
I've had 2 eye tests off them, and they haven't paid me yet. They've given me I've got the thing, the optical record card, or whatever the hell that is. The optician said to me, because I bought some contact lenses off the internet, just keep buying them because they're working great for you. Don't bother buying them off. So I just... Anyway, madness.
Sounds good to me. As always, Hotfix is our laser-focused
That's why we're talking
news
about
and
contact
topical
lenses, yeah.
discussion show, which is why we always start with stories about our eyes or contact lenses or getting away with not paying people, apparently. If we've had some new patrons, I believe. Well, patrons.
Yes.
Patrons on Patreon.
That's right.
It always throws me off.
We've had Mr. Alan Smith and Mr. Joe Rawson. Thank you for the support. And thank you to everybody else who supports Patreon. No, Hotfix on Patreon. It confuses me.
I know.
You're a patron on Patreon. It's such a shit name for a website.
It's really irritating. As always, if you want to support us on Patreon, you can find a linky up there.
Please do as well.
And
guys,
down
please
there.
do.
And
if you enjoy the show, please do it. Because
it really, really helps.
It helps a shitload. Because
it essentially keeps the show running. So if you like it and you want to see more of it, then that's the thing to do. So we've got loads of stuff to talk about this week. Loads.
Oh, baby.
It's quality. But I thought we'd start with something that we've talked about this a lot, this particular chap a lot.
Oh, fuck.
And, well, it's kind of interesting. It's like, I don't know, this is both good and bad. So we're just going to go straight into it. This is John Smedley, right? So the boss of Daybreak Games, well, boss, CEO, whichever you want to call it. He's stepped down. And of course, Daybreak Games make H1Z1 and PlanetSide. As you can see on the screen right now, you'll see McGee in a moment because McGee has joined Hotfix.
I've got to show McGee now.
Okay, here we go.
Hello.
I nearly clicked podcast there. We don't want that.
McGee, what are you doing?
There's one McGee.
It's really tired because McGee's been on a mission. McGee, Chunks, whatever you want to call it. You okay, Sky?
Look at her, she's knackered.
Knackered.
She'll just go to sleep on you. She's got.
She has. Anyway.
So
yes, Mr. Smedley.
So what's happened essentially? We've gone back to desktop here so you can see it. John Smedley, boss of Daybreak, formerly Sony Online Entertainment, has stepped down as president and CEO of the company. The move follows more than a year of online harassment from hacking group Lizard Squad, the outfit that took down PlayStation Network and Xbox Live over Christmas 2014. Daybreak's games were targeted multiple times by Lizard Squad. The latest attack occurred earlier this month after Smedley publicly condemned the fact 17-year-old hacker Julius Z. Kivimaki, I'm assuming, convicted of more than 50,700 computer crimes, had avoided jail. Which, whether you like John Smedley or not, that's kind of ridiculous. So yeah, essentially, he's been on the receiving end of quite a lot of grief. He had as it says here, the hoax bomb threat against the plane he was travelling on. There was crazy stuff about. I mean, also,
we've covered him. We've covered this guy in massive detail. And last week, when we spoke about him again on Hotfix, a podcast, or whatever it was, his Twitter was not there, but it's back again now.
Yeah, that's weird.
I don't know what's gone on there, but what I was trying to do was find some quotes from this guy on Twitter because he's very. Well, listen. We've spoke about this guy in massive detail. He antagonises people to respond to him. He acts in a very unprofessional way for somebody of his rank, let's say, within the industry, right? He's a company head. He's like Randy Pitchford. He's going around being a dick, but he's like way worse than that guy. And he invites this on himself. It's very, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. It's like us, isn't it? If we went around being complete idiots and baiting people to attack us and come after us, they would come after us. That's all he is doing. It's almost like a challenge, isn't it? It's like, you can't hack us. Who do you think you are to hack me? Blah, blah, blah. So they come after him again. And his language is so, like, abrasive when he talks to people, especially on Twitter.
Really is.
It's just like, you want to fucking slap the guy. You want to slap him. It's so.
See, this is the thing. It's like I don't think it's never fair or right to kind of be happy that someone's been forced out of something.
He isn't though, is he? He's coming back in a year. It's like I'm just taking a year off.
Well, this is the thing. It's like it's never good to sort of revel in someone's personal misfortune. But on the other hand, there's a couple of things about this, right? First of all, it's very easy to say, oh, this was done by the hacker group Lizard Squad, and it's just because they're the hacker group Lizard Squad. That's the first thing that you can say. That would be to ignore quite a significant part of this back and forth, this exchange that he's had with not just this group, other people as well. It's like a lot of this is being put on one group of people, and while they're not the nicest people in the world by all accounts, I mean, who takes down the PlayStation Network over Christmas? That's not particularly good stuff, is it?
Yeah, no.
It also ignores the fact that he himself has put himself in a position and behaved in such a way that he kind of has invited that sort of behaviour. Now, there are going to be people watching this now who go, oh, what the fuck, Unit Lost? You're just victim blaming here. Not really. There's a point where this isn't the same
hang on.
as...
Let me send you a link. Go to your full screen thing, because I'll mess up your Skype overlay when I send this link through. Look at this. So I just Googled him. There's articles like that. What is that going to do?
Get rid of that. Yeah, so the war between Daybreak Games' John Smedley and hackers continues to escalate.
Yeah, and this is on fortune.com. It's like you've only got to Google the guy and it's all over the place.
There should be no such thing as a war between
what is
the CEO of a company and hackers. That's not how that position works.
This is what Smedley said. He's a sociopath and he'll get what's coming to him. What?
Yeah. Who added he is considering a civil suit against the guy's parents? Like, what attitude is that? That's not.
Yeah.
They could. I mean, he could have nothing. We don't really know the history of this guy, but to kind of sit there and go, I'm going to go after his parents for something he's done. That alone by itself is not a clever thing. And
I'm afraid we don't live in an age where the crimes of the children are fucking held against the parents.
Yeah, that's not how it works. And it's like,
this isn't the Dark Ages.
There will be people. I've seen a lot of people, being defensive of Smedley and saying that this shouldn't have happened and so on and so forth, and placing the blame wholly on other people. And to a degree, that's kind of correct. Like, you shouldn't really victim blame. This is the thing. We're not saying it's 100% John Smedley's fault, because that's not right. For this kind of thing to happen, there has to be two parties. There has to be the person who... Well, there just has to be two parties. You can't have an argument with just one person arguing. You can't have a fight where only one person is fighting.
It's not a fight you should be in, though, because he has nothing to attack them back with.
It's like, people will always sit there and go, oh, well, you shouldn't be harsh on the guy because he's stepped down after all of this. That's just blaming him rather than blaming the people.
No, this is a guy who made kids fucking send him videos, which he then would publicly fucking tweet, apologising for hacking in his game. What?
Yeah, it's always difficult because there are always those knee-jerk reactions to it. It's like, oh, don't blame him. But on the other hand, he's in a position where he's the CEO of a company. The CEO of a company should not be on Twitter telling people that they're pieces of shit, or saying that they are sociopaths and they'll get what's coming to them, or saying, I'm going to go after this guy's parents. Or, as I've said before, that bizarre tweet exchange where someone's like, oh, I found the guy who took photos of your parents' grey over Twitter, and he's like, okay, send me some DMs. It's like, that's not... You do not do that in public as a CEO. You don't do that in public as anyone. Even like the worst PR person in the world should know that you don't just keep going back and forth. That's not how it works. That's constant escalation. You're supposed to de-escalate arguments and disagreements. There are supposed to be concessions made. There's supposed to be ways to calm people down, to not respond to what's being done to you. And I understand that eventually people are going to be like...
Listen to this then. This is a quote off his Twitter. He says, his parents need to be held accountable for his actions, in addition to his going to jail. So I'm coming for you, Julius. That's what he said. I'll send you the fucking link. That is what he said.
You can't do that. You cannot... I've switched over back to desktop. You cannot do that. Like, it's not acceptable. in any way, shape, or form. That is not something that.
That's bullying. That is. I'm coming for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on, then.
That's not on. It just isn't. I don't know. I kind of.
And then it's like later tweets,
because...
and there's just like, I got to talk to the dirtbag once when he called and pretended to be someone else. The FBI nailed this guy, right? Time for the Finnish government to catch up. It's like, all right then, big bad America, the best at everything, Mr. Smedley. I'm going to offend some people saying this, but John Smedley, to me, just appears like the typical gung-ho redneck American, I'm voting for the bloody George Bush guy. That's who he comes across as.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I've offended you and you did vote for George Bush, but that, like me, as an English person, he's like Trump. I bet he'd vote for Trump if Trump was the fucking Republican presidential candidate. And have you seen what Trump says? I'm going
this is something that's actually on this Twitter. Someone says he's a minor. It's not his fault, his parents. It's his fault, not his parents, just as your parents aren't responsible for your actions. And his response to this is, totally and completely disagree. Okay, well, you've sat there and said you're going to go after someone's parents, you've called them scum, you've tried to get people to send you videos of them crying apologies to you for hacking your game. Are your parents proud of that? Would they be proud of that? Would you be happy if someone went to them and went, this is what your son's doing, what do you think of it? No, you'd be livid. You'd be like, what the fuck is this? You can't do that. And yet it's something that is perfectly, it's okay to do to other people. And this is the problem, right? It's like, with stuff like this, you cannot ever cut and dry say, oh, well, in this case, it's Lizard Squad, it's all their fault. They are 100% to blame for this. Because that's not how it works. Like, this isn't a case of John Smedley was walking down the street. He had never said anything on social media, even remotely antagonising. He'd never really done anything to anyone. He was just walking around his own business, and a group of people beat the shit out of him and ran off. That is a situation whereby if we said John Smedley deserved that would be bullshit.
We'd be dickheads.
We'd be dickheads. We'd be victim blaming because he didn't do anything to escalate the situation. He didn't do anything to, in any way, hurt other people. But that's not what's happened in this case. What's happened in this case is, like, someone has attacked him, and instead of him going, I'm the CEO of a company, I'm the public face of these games, of this company, everything I say is crawled over by the media and will be reprinted, like, just forever and a day. I'm going to ignore this because if I did this, this would be fucking suicidal. I'm not going to start slagging people off, having slanging matches over Twitter because that's idiocy.
It just baits them in. I mean, this is what he said, right? If we banned 30k people and unbanned 20 for making videos that are seen by a lot of people and they apologise, I'll take it. That's another Twitter quote of him, right? And then he constantly goes on about it. We've just banned 7k hackers in the last few days. It's like, yeah, but
there are ways of doing that. Like, if you look at any other
company... If he'd said nothing about any of the hacking situation or anything, and they just dealt with it like any other company would deal with it, like Valve deal with it, Valve just go through waves of banning people on Counter-Strike. Yeah. I bet you there's loads more people who cheat on Counter-Strike. Because, well, Counter-Strike's a much bigger game, so there's going to be more people. But you know what? Gabe doesn't turn up on Twitter. I don't think he's even got a Twitter account, but he doesn't turn up on Reddit and go, fucking hell, just banned a load of people, come and get me. Because they... Jesus.
This is the thing. I mean... Valve do it. They give out waves of bans. They let it pile up. I read something about this, actually. It was quite interesting, where the reason they don't sort of ban people on a case-by-case basis is they build it up so that there's a huge wave of bans all at the same time, because that effectively wipes out progress on hacking and exploits all at the same time, because all of this stuff is built and built and built, and then in one fell swoop, anyone who's used it is just gone. So there's no one to propagate it. Like, it slows it down instead of just going, okay, one person has used this hack, therefore we'll ban them, and then another one picks it up a day later, and then a day later.
Yeah, it's like antivirus companies and people who make viruses. Basically, what happens is if they constantly ban you as soon as they found a cheat, that gives the people who produce the hacks the time to think, okay, why would we ban? And they keep developing it, and it's like it never goes away. Yeah. But if you don't know when the ban's coming, you think, oh yeah, my hack's working. You're sitting on your arse sort of thing, and suddenly everyone gets wiped out. So, why did we get wiped out? We don't know what triggered it, and then it means it's more difficult. It's like a covert war, but that's the key word. It's covert. It's not a fucking public thing where there's...
When Valve do it, it's like, there's been a new wave of VAC bans, and that will be the entire statement. That will be it. Gabe won't be writing a letter to the people of Steam going, lol, you're a bunch of dickheads, we've just banned you, ha ha ha.
I'm coming off this guy's Twitter. he said this as well. Dear cheaters who got banned, many of you are emailing me, apologising and admitting it. Thank you. However, you're doing it wrong.
It's just, it's just a shit attitude to have, and this is the problem, because I know full well that as this story like gains traction and more people read it, more people will sit there and go, "Oh, poor John Smedley, this is bullshit. This shouldn't have happened." On the one hand, no, it shouldn't have happened. You know, people shouldn't be constantly attacking someone in personal ways. You shouldn't be swatting people. You shouldn't be fucking doxing them or sending bomb threats to airlines or hacking their servers or anything like that.
Or false credit applications.
Or false credit applications.
It's all invited upon.
But at the same time, the person who is having this done to them should not respond to each fresh attack with a fresh attack of their own. That it just builds it, and it builds it.
Come to the school of YouTubers, Stylosa. If you acknowledge people who are going after you, like people do go after you. I mean, okay, you'll get comments on YouTube videos. It would just be a one-off comment, yeah, whatever. But then you get people who take it to the next level, and they will follow you on Twitter, and they will repeatedly spam you with stuff over and over again. What do you do to these people? Yeah. You do not engage with them. You just block them on Twitter and carry on. They lose interest then because they're getting no response out of you. Smedley responded to everything, basically. He responded to the worst kinds of people to respond to, and that's why he got slapped. Holy shit!
It's just ridiculous because it's like it's not difficult to actually.
I mean, look at the comments in that Eurogamer article. Sad times, bullies 1, victim 0. John Smedley is a bully.
He is a bully. This is the problem. It's like bullies 1. Well, no, I mean, bullies are dead even at this point because bullies got a bully to stop bullying people. That is effectively what's happened. And as soon as someone comes out worse, the party that is deemed to have, won the fight, so to speak, instantly become the bad guys, regardless of how shitty the other person is. And this is the thing. It's like, as we've said, this is not a case of John Smedley walking down the street and getting mugged for no reason. This isn't a case of, like, when you see those awful stories of girls who have, said they've been attacked or molested or something, and everyone goes, "Oh, well, you shouldn't have worn a skirt that short." This isn't anything like that. This is not a victim-blaming rant or tirade.
No.
This is the pure, simple fact that if you're in charge of a company, you do not engage with people who are attacking you publicly. You do not try and cite anger in people, okay? You don't do that. You don't openly mock people that you've had to discipline for doing things like wrong or immoral or unethical or illegal in your games. You deal with it quickly and quietly and without gloating. That's how you do it. It's like if we sat here and replied to everyone, for instance, who has made a comment on that Frankie video, not only would we be here forever because it's a constant battle, but we would also just receive 10 times the amount of shit back, which is why we don't fucking do it. Like, I think I made one comment on that video, and it was just a stupid comment about salty tears, and that was the whole thing. And you know what? I've got nothing back from that, because it was one small comment that was directed at nobody in particular. I wasn't aiming at anyone, I wasn't targeting anyone, I wasn't distinctly mocking a single person, which is what he does, and what he did constantly, all the time. And every time he did something that people didn't like, the response was to either take the piss or lie. That was his method. That was how he did things. So how is it that we've got to this point where, admittedly, a guy losing it, like having to step down from his job, even if it is only for a year, that's a pretty shitty thing to happen. But on the other face of it, he's behaved in a pretty shitty way. We're not saying that Lizard Squad is better, because they're obviously not. But at the same time, you cannot just absolve someone of everything they've done just because they eventually get to the point where they've got to take a step back.
This is an extreme reaction. I don't think what he's done is he's gone full into these people. He's got wrecked and he's thought, well, I'll go into them again. And he's got wrecked even more. And then he's acted like a dick and he's been a bully and all kinds of shit, like getting, immature fucking late teens or whatever to send him personal videos because apparently he gets off on it. And then he publicised that fact. Now, his answer to all of this, because it's got out of control and he knows he cannot do anything about it, is to just go away for a year.
Yeah.
I don't think he is stepping down because he's the president of that company. He is just going to go away from social media for a year. That's all he's going to do. Yeah. That's apparently he's just going to be like, okay, fuck it. Well, why can't he just do that anyway instead of making a big fuss about it? Because now the other side think, well, they've won because they've made him retire. And so if somebody else like this comes along, they're going to do it to them as well. And it's like he has just made bad decisions after bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. He's crap at dealing with anyone in the public, and he must be a terrible boss.
It's
Because
just,
I bet you, oh my god, oh god.
and this is
Oh,
the
God.
thing. It's like I I keep saying this. It's not. It is never good when someone has to step down or someone loses their job or something happens where someone feels forced out. But at the same time, we are increasingly getting into a kind of culture of the second someone has to
It's a
step
good job I've
away.
got McGee to stroke to calm down.
We've kind of got into this culture where the second someone has to step away, they have somehow given in, or they were somehow the one who like the person who was right in all of this. They were the
Yeah.
person who was standing up and fighting against and all this kind of thing. And it's like, you can stand up and fight against, okay? You can. Plenty of companies do it by doing massive waves of like bans on hackers, or by dealing with issues by taking it through courts and stuff. Companies do that shit all the time. But you don't hear about it a lot of the time because the CEO of that company does not feel the need to brag about it on fucking Twitter, which, let's face it, is almost like an argument engine, because you've got 140 characters to say what you want to say, which is nowhere near enough the majority of the time. So you say what you want to say in a shortened form, people read it and they go, "You're talking shit, I'm not having it." They reply, and then suddenly,
You
a couple of
cannot
years
have
later,
a debate on Twitter, and people think they can, and you can't.
And then you get that kind of odd thing where, I think I saw this. Was it replies to one of my tweets or something? I can't remember. But I saw like someone wrote like a huge, like 20 tweet long response to something someone said, and it like they're one of those people where it's like, this is a good avenue for debate. It's not, because they'll have read the first tweet and gone, "Oh Jesus Christ, he's still going," and then nothing else will be read. And you can all tie it together to this whole thing of just chill the fuck out. I mean, that's essentially, as CEO, you hire people. You have, you're in charge of people whose job it should be to handle PR. Don't do PR. I mean, if you're great at PR, then by all means give it a bash. But if you're just gonna like sit there and rant at people and hate on people,
One
and
of the
say,
strengths
"Lol,
of a
banned,"
CEO should be the ability to delegate his work.
Exactly.
And apparently you can't. You got to understand what your strengths and weaknesses are. Why would if I was Smedley, I know I'm atrocious at interacting with the public, so now I'm not allowed to interact with the public.
Yeah,
But
that's how it should work. I mean, we only have to look at other companies to see how this very problem has massively affected them. I mean, let's look at two massive names in the gaming industry. Let's look at Peter Molyneux, who was the CEO of his company. He did not know how to run a fucking company. Okay, he just didn't know how to do it.
And
He had no
I guess
clue.
I guess number two is our friend from a certain Double Fine.
It is indeed Mr. Tim
Yeah,
Schafer.
and he is
where,
the same.
Yeah,
Cannot run
these
a
people
fucking company.
they cannot run companies, and frankly, in many cases, they can't talk to the press. And yet, that's what Smedley was doing, and he's bad in a different way, but he's still bad at it. I mean, this is a bit of a tangent, and I forgot to actually list this as a topic, but something that's kind of vaguely related to this is, there was a story a little while ago that Molyneux has been replaced as CEO. A guy has come in.
Yes, yeah.
And he was like, honestly, I mean, I don't know how much hope there is for Goddess now. I'm assuming none. I'm going to be honest.
Well, it's a mobile game in it, so it might
do
something. I don't know.
He did an interview, and he literally just came into the interview and he said, "Yeah, Molyneux absolutely fucked it. He ruined it. He didn't know how to do his job. He was trying to do everything, and as a result, he did practically nothing. So now I'm coming in, and I'm going to have to fix it. And I'm not going to give you release dates, and I'm not going to say it's going to be done for this day or that day or this day or that date, because I don't know. Because it's in such a mess that we've got to get it all sorted first. And when we've got it all sorted, we'll have good news. But until then, I'm just holding things together until we can get things back on track." Now, that, admittedly, he's not really... he shouldn't be doing the PR, but he is someone who can do the PR.
There was... Oh my god! The Labour Party leadership debate thing, right? Because they're trying to, you might know, you might have seen it. So, what's happening in the UK is Labour lost their leader because they got trashed in the general election. So they need a new leader, and there's a room full of all the candidates, and they're having a debate, like I think it's a radio show, and the guy is like who's hosting the show asks a very simple question, and like three of these people give the most ridiculous politician-based answers. Where there's not an answer. The question was, is Ed Miliband going to be in your shadow cabinet? Now, Ed Miliband was the leader who lost the election, yeah?
Yeah.
All of them just didn't give an answer. One guy, though, who's apparently the forerunner by a mile, just went, "Yeah, I'd have him in my cabinet because he's quite a good environmental secretary." And that was all he said.
Yeah.
And the bloke was like, well, that's fantastic. That is why, because they're straight to the point and they tell you what.
This is the problem. There's especially for people who are big on, like, the problem with Schaefer and Molyneux is that they're good at the design aspect, but they let their imaginations...
they're good dreamers.
Yeah.
They're just good dreamers.
They have amazing imaginations, but whenever they open their mouths, they spew imagination all over the interviewer. And so the interviewer is like, so what can we expect from the game? And what they do is in their head, I imagine they've got two lists, and it's like, realistic, what I'd really like. They start reading off the realistic list, and the interviewer's like, oh, that all sounds really good. And they think, oh man, they really like that. I mean, maybe... Yeah, we could probably do more. We could probably do like the top on the really want list. Yeah, we've got enough time for that. And then they reel off the really want list, and it ends up being a massive collapse, and they can't work on it, and they run out of money in the case of Goddess and in the case of Broken Age, etc., etc., etc. That's one type of terrible CEO. The other type of terrible CEO is, I don't know how good Smedley is in terms of game design. I honestly have no idea. Going off H1Z1, you could argue if that was his idea, it's terrible.
But I don't think Smedley is like a game designer guy.
Yeah, in which case he's more the actual running of the company. He is like the
boss, yeah.
But in that case, again, it's like there are people who are excellent at running companies, but are totally shit at public speaking. And you know, the two roles need to be distinct. It's like we keep seeing this kind of thing. Admittedly, Molyneux hasn't had to, you know, go into hiding for a year or anything, and Schaefer's still struggling along.
Well, let me just give you a quick breakdown of what John Smedley is. So John Smedley, he became heavily involved in Dungeons and Dragons, which later gave him the ideas for EverQuest. Yeah, but he wasn't the guy who came up with EverQuest. He blah 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 blah. Smedley was involved in the creation and development of the original EverQuest. Yeah, he was kind of, but like it was Brad McQuaid who essentially came up with that, not him. He started a development company called Night Technologies that produced contract games. So what that is Blizzard used to do this. It's when it's these companies that port games to different platforms, or some companies got an idea for a game and you just you do everything they tell you to do, sort of thing. So again, that's not really nothing I can see is that he actually is like a game designer. I don't think he's like part of the teams that manage the design of games, it looks like, and that would make sense given his position. Like you said, maybe he is good at running a company, maybe he is good at being a boss, but being a boss is a bit different to being a public face of a company, like we keep saying.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult because anyone who gets forced out of anything, that's obviously a shit situation. But at the same time, as I said earlier, it's like we keep getting kind of pushed into this thing where whoever is the loser was the good guy, and that's not really appropriate in a lot of situations, and that's something I keep taking away from this. It's like I don't like to see people having to, you know, take a step back or leave their job or get fired or whatever, but at the same time there is something to be said for recognizing what your strengths and weaknesses are. And when you're the face of a company of that type, of that size, producing what you produce, especially, I mean, the video game industry it's got some of the most vocal kind of fans and community members of any industry anywhere. You know, if people don't like something, you will fucking well know that they don't like it. You know, it won't just be a case of, actually, I think you could have done that a bit better. No, instead you'll get a million comments about how shit it was and how, you know, you should probably burn to death or something. And I know that's unacceptable, and I know that's not how it should be, but that's how it is. So you've got to react accordingly. And reacting accordingly is stepping away from the Twitter feed, stepping away from Reddit, not making statements in public about attacks on your company, hiring a PR manager or a PR firm to handle all your communications with the community in the outside world. Yeah, what he wanted to do, essentially, is he wanted to be the guy, like the friendly CEO, the community CEO. He wanted to be the person who, when people talk about Daybreak...
He probably is. Yeah. You know, like Iwata, when people spoke about him, you know, he's a gamer and all this. It's like, I think he probably is Smedley, but he's just, like we said before, he's too defensive of his own stuff. Like, we could get easily offended if people attack videos that we spend a lot of time making, but you've just got to filter them out.
Yeah,
especially if you're selling the product. I mean, we're not we kind of are selling our videos, I guess, with the ad revenue that we get off them, but we're not selling you I don't know. I don't know what the connection I'm trying to make is, but yeah, fuck Smedley. Let's come off this. He needs to go away and come back and sort himself out.
I
And
hope
maybe
he
that's
does
what he'll
sort
do.
himself out, but I don't know. I don't know if he's able to, honestly.
Do you think he'll sort
But-
himself out, Magoo? Do you? Do
So-
you?
Let's move on to someone who has not actually left, but it's on one of my favourite topics. Star Citizen. Oh, yes.
Oh yes,
So-
we always get slated about this because I don't
Yeah.
follow Star Citizen, but apparently I spew the same generic arguments over and over again, which must be so generic that everybody says the same argument, which then must lead me to conclude that it is actually correct. Because
Yeah.
why would everyone
There's-
keep saying it?
There's something to be said for when people go, oh, everyone says that. It's like, usually everyone says that because there's some kind of common consensus gained
The
from...
person making these comments as well, I would imagine, or well, the people, it isn't just the one person, most likely are very into Star Citizen and take part in the forums, which obviously I don't. So how am
Yeah.
I to know?
So we're going to switch over here, and I'm just going to read a bit of this out. So this is what Chris Roberts has said in his latest letter from the chairman, and he talks about the recent delay of the Star Marine FPS module and the loss of high-profile staff members, and well, this is what he said. So, on the subject of losing executive producer Alex Mabry, he said, "We are a very large company now, dedicated entirely to making Star Citizen and Squadron 42. We have 4 development studios: Los Angeles, Austin, Wilmslow, UK and Frankfurt, Germany. Our internal headcount has gone from 5 at the end of 2012 to 59 at the end of 2013 to 183 at the end of 2014 and 255 now. The turnover at CIG is no more or less than it was at Origin, EA, Digital Anvil, or Microsoft when I was making games there. The difference is that since we conduct our development in an open manner, people get the opportunity to know some of the individuals working on the game in a way you wouldn't with a normal publisher. So a departure becomes more noticeable."
Yeah.
So that actually, to be honest, that in fairness, that's entirely reasonable. I thought it was interesting when it happened, and maybe a portent of something since Star Marine got sort of
He chose to
pushed at the same time.
crowdfund his game. Now, I firmly believe this game would never have been backed by a publisher. Not at that time.
No.
So he had to do this. But this is like a side effect of being crowdfunded. People who give you money to make your game, suddenly they feel they are investors.
Yeah.
And they want to know everything about your game. It's like they're shareholders, right? We want to know all what's going on, everybody who's involved in development, and so they're open to it. But then that also means that when high-profile members of the team leave, suddenly everybody knows about it, and you get people like us talking about it because it's like, why is that guy left? Now, maybe it isn't any different than like the development of any other game that's closed. Let's say Assassin's Creed, right? Maybe loads of high-profile people leave Assassin's Creed and there's loads of drama and God knows what. We don't know, though, because it's all behind closed doors. All we see is the finished product of whatever quality level that happens to be at the time, which obviously with Assassin's Creed is probably a bag of shit. But this is like, I get the feeling that Chris Roberts knows how to run a company. I get the feeling that he's like a boss.
Yeah.
And he seems pretty good. He doesn't seem like he's a dribbler. Like, he seems to know what he's doing. You know what I mean? He's not like spouting crap on social media, or he's not making a big fuss. He sort of makes comments that you would expect him to make. Like the one you just read off, which is like...
There is a bit more to this, and this is where it actually gets kind of, I guess, closer to what we've said about Star Citizen fairly recently, and kind of doubts about the direction of the game and how it's going. So this is something he addressed in the same letter. So I'll just read off again. Of course, he touched on complaints headed by 3000 AD founder Derek Smart about the state of the game and its internal crowdfunding campaign. Smart, you'll recall, was given an unrequested refund on his Star Citizen Kickstarter pledge after, among other things, calling for an FTC investigation into Cloud Imperium on his blog. Roberts acknowledged that the launch schedule envisioned during the Kickstarter is completely out of the window, but said the studio is taking pains to keep supporters informed and engaged. Now, this is what he actually said, and the response to it is actually kind of, it's interesting if worrying. So Chris Roberts has said, "This is why we decided on multiple modules. The hangar, so you could first see your ships and walk around them in the manner you would in the final game. Then Arena Commander, to allow people to get a taste and give feedback on the basic dogfight and flight mechanics. Star Marine, which will be available shortly, so it's gone from
indefinitely not available
to apparently it will be shortly available. is the module for backers to experience and give their feedback on the first-person shooting component of the game. Not long after that, we'll be releasing the next level of Arena Commander, allowing players with bigger ships to fly them with friends on maps that are closer in size to the huge ones you'll have in the final game. Anyone with knowledge about game development can assess our spending based on the information we share every month. It speaks for itself that from the outset, our TOS provides for an accounting to be published if we ever had to stop development before delivering. With the progress and the funds we've raised, this is no longer an issue. But quite obviously, we wouldn't have provided for this clause if we weren't using your funds very carefully for the development of Star Citizen. So that's kind of that standard boss response of everything's fine, don't worry about it. It's what Smart said in response, though. In a response on Twitlonger, Smart wrote that anyone who believes Star Citizen will come out as advertised is delusional and said its business model is unsustainable. From an economic standpoint, what people fail to realise is that most games don't sell 927,000, their approximate pledge count, copies. So this $85 million at this point are pre-sales because people expect something in return for their money. Thus, any money needed to continue operations after that money runs out within this year has to come from somewhere. Free-to-play games work on the premise that most of the whales, those buying stuff, pay for those who don't buy anything. The ratio is massive, and even if the numbers go from 927,000 to 1 million, it's not enough for long-term financial success, even if 70% of those are whales who keep buying stuff. And with 255 employees, plus an undisclosed number of contractors, that monthly burn rate is killer. If Smart is correct and a crash is coming, then it almost certainly will, as he predicted, be unprecedented and have long-term ramifications for the industry, as well as video game crowdfunding in general. On the other hand, if Roberts and the company pull it off, then Star Citizen may well be the dream game that all of us have wanted to build all our lives. Now, the thing for me here, if I get my mouse back, stupid Windows 8, is we have talked about feature creep and Star Citizen a lot. And we've talked about the fact that their release schedule is just non-existent at this point. It doesn't exist. It's not a thing they stick to in any way, shape or form. They announce a module and then at some point the module comes out. At some stage, maybe. Or it gets delayed and then it gets pulled out later. Or it gets reported as being cancelled indefinitely or postponed indefinitely, but then it's coming out soon.
So, hang on. Like, what that guy said there, Smart, in relation to a game, like, how are they continuing to fund what they've got here, right? If they're not... My webcam gone crazy. No, I think it was my eyes. My eyes went crazy.
Your eyes went crazy.
I was like, oh, God. Free-to-play games, selling more content, living off the whales. Star Citizen must have some of the super whales, right? Because I'm looking at their website right now, and this is crowdfunding timeline for the last week. It's $351,000.
Yeah,
they're made in that week. So for him to say, like, if they were to go up in backers, I don't think they necessarily go up in backers that much. But what is happening is these backers that they've got are spending a ton of money on stuff that doesn't exist because they need to keep pumping out the ships to keep selling the stuff to keep funding the development of the game. Once the game is playable, surely none of this will be a problem then because people will be happy to buy the ships and God knows what.
Yeah, but you say that. You say once the game is playable. How long until the game is playable? Like, honestly,
yeah, I know, but the game isn't playable now, and people are still spending like $350,000 a week on this thing.
But this is the thing: is there not going to be like there has to be a cut-off point. There has to be a cut-off point for this because people, as you say, like people are just buying and buying. They're buying ships and stuff all the time. The game is just constantly raising money. As he points out, though, I mean, games don't. When we. The idea of how many games are sold, like on a per title basis, is skewed by AAA titles. Like, and it's skewed massively, not just by AAA titles, but by hugely overachieving AAA titles. So things like Call of Duty or Battlefield,
and also
or
development
Creed.
Costs of AAA games can be massive. I mean, Star Citizen, $85 million, but Star Wars: The Old Republic cost $200 million to make.
For a game the size of Star Citizen, $85 million, honestly, at this point, still doesn't seem enough. I'm just gonna say it now. It does not seem like enough.
Hollywood blockbuster films cost more than that to make. I mean, shit, they pay the main actors like $40 million.
Yeah,
just for the guy. What?
And it's an interest. It's what he's saying kind of makes sense to me. Like I don't know a huge amount about economics, but I do. You know, we've been making YouTube videos about games for long enough, and we've read enough stats, and we've read enough reports, and we've read enough kind of release schedules, and seen enough advertising campaigns to know what a really good advertising campaign can get you. And it can get you a hell of a lot of sales.
Oh, yeah.
But at the moment, I feel like Star Citizen's advertising campaign is essentially companies reporting on the fact that modules aren't appearing when they should. The game is taking longer to develop than it used to. The game has got like more money than anything else on Kickstarter ever, by the look of it. But at the same time,
well, no, technically it hasn't.
Well, yeah, it's just it's crowdfunded the most.
It's the biggest crowdfunded thing ever, yeah.
Because
it's been across like basically 3 crowdfunding platforms: Kickstarter. Was it on Indiegogo? No. It just Kickstarter within their own website. So
yeah, but it's like a lot of the press at the moment is not about how great or how impressive or how wonderful Star Citizen's going to be. It's about the fact that Star Citizen still has a ton of money and is still being developed, like years on, and how this has been cancelled and this person's left. I kind of see his point that actually the amount of money that they've got, whilst they might say, okay, well that we've got plenty, we don't have to worry about running out of money or not finishing the game. I don't think they need to worry about not finishing the game or running out of money during development. But at the same time, by the time they release the game, is there not like a very real danger that they will have burnt all of the money that they're ever going to make from it just building it? Because this is
the only way they can combat that is if, and like you said, when is this going to stop? Is to keep releasing ships and stuff. They have to keep selling you things that you want to buy.
And when will we get to the point where people are going, I'm not going to buy another ship because I bought 6 ships and I can still only fly 2 of them, and you still haven't told me when I'm even going to be able to fly the rest, or what capacity I'm going to fly them in. Maybe someone's bought a ship and they're like, okay, I've got this ship, but I don't want to play on like just a map. I want to play in the universe, in the game. I want the Star Citizen experience that was promised when I started buying these things, and you're still not telling me when that module is going to be here. I still have no idea, because they are clear about what they're doing, but what they're doing is progressing at a snail's pace compared to their their Kickstarter goal release schedule. So I kind of see that actually.
I mean, they're selling skins now, so it looks like you can buy skins for. Well, my garbage ship I've got, whatever the hell that's called, it's like the cheapest Kickstarter pledge ship.
Yeah,
$6 I can buy a skin for it. But I mean,
how much is a skin for a Hornet? I'm gonna
be honest. I don't really like their website. It's kind of hard to. So an F7C Hornet is $150. That's for the ship, though.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, right? So I know you've got this because you're a mental bastard, but there's like an Avenger there.
The website's got worse.
Which is $90. There's a Gladius something gunship, which is like $126. So I mean, why are they releasing them in that tier? Is that to make you think, oh god, I want this Gladius now?
I'm kind of assuming that that's what they're doing. Yeah.
It looks quite nice.
Honestly.
I've got to be honest, the ship models look pretty fucking good.
But this is the problem. It's like the ship models look good, but how long do they have before people stop going, the ship model looks good, to I want to fucking use my ship. Where's my goddamn ship? I've bought this ship. Where is it? Where can I use it? Where do I stand in relation to this game? I've given this game my money. When am I going to see my investment returned in terms of a completed product? And the size of it, and
how long has this been going for now? 3 years?
I think so. Let me just check. It's been in development for, I think, longer than you'd think.
I know, but
it's claiming a release date in 2016, but I don't believe that for a second.
Well, he did say that any release dates from the Kickstarter are just garbage now.
Well, I mean, okay, so the Hangar module was released on August 29th, 2013. So that was a good couple of years ago.
Because I remember getting that, yeah.
I don't know. It's, again, we've said this before as well. It's like, I don't want Star Citizen to fail. I especially don't want it to fail because, well, I've got a fucking stupid ship in there, haven't I? So I like to be able to fly it around, and I don't want the game to disappear before I can actually do something with it. But at this point, it kind of feels like Star Citizen has become an unstoppable juggernaut of fundraising. But the sheer size of the game and the amount that it's being
And are we
developed.
saying that it lives off this fundraising? And if the fundraising was to go down because they have not met, like, if they give you the FPS module now, maybe the fundraising would be higher because they've give something else out, you know. But because they
Yeah.
haven't, people are getting a little bit more negative towards it. Maybe, I don't know.
The thing is, the
Also,
actual
I bet they want
fundraising
to sell.
itself.
I bet they want to sell loads of FPS related stuff, which they can't do. But
Yeah.
then, would that make any difference? Because they're selling ships that you can't use anyway. So why are they not selling soldier armor or something?
Well, this is the thing. It's a weird situation where it's like Star Citizen has raised a huge amount of money, but the sheer scale of the game and the size of the game and the number of people they got working on it. I mean, 255 people is not a small number of people. Okay,
No, that's pretty big. Yeah.
That's 255 salaries, and that's not including contractors, because I'm assuming they're using contractors as well.
Yeah.
And they've got at the moment about 85 million to play with. Is there not a very real risk that there will come a point where they are literally looking at the week's pledges
Well,
to determine how many
I've
people
just done a bit
still
of
work
maths
for
here.
them
Right,
the
so
week after
255 people. Let's say they all get paid £30,000 a year, yeah, or
Yeah.
dollars, right? That would be 765,000. No, my maths have failed me. That's seven. That can't be 76 million. No,
76 million.
no, it's that 7.65 million.
So that's 7.65 million a year.
Yeah, I think. Right.
Now that's assuming.
But let's
And
just do it
that's-
easy. Let's say this: if they spend 10 million a year on wages and stuff, yeah,
Yeah.
and maybe rental fees for offices, then you put in contractor fees, because I know you have to buy things in from outside. You don't just like make everything yourself when you develop a game. You buy assets in, or like, well, not assets, but maybe you buy like physics engines in and stuff like that. That money's going to be adding up, and if they've already been going for a few years doing this, and they're sort of getting bigger and bigger, then their 85 million suddenly doesn't look like a lot of money, really.
Yeah, and that's also assuming that's assuming that the 255 people are on the same salary when you're going to have people who are on a lot more than that
And on less as well, yeah.
and on less. But that's also assuming that there are no outside contractors being used whatsoever, which I'm pretty sure they do use contractors.
Well, they
as
did
well
say,
as
didn't
the,
they? Yeah.
Yeah, as well as the employees. That also doesn't include cost of servers, of hosting, of offices, of rent, of equipment, of any of software. You've got a huge I don't think people quite understand like the sheer staggering scale of developing a AAA game. It's like people kind of go, oh well, this guy made an indie game by himself and he did it in a year. It's like, yeah, and it's possible to do that, but that is not on the same scale as like a new Battlefield game. A new Battlefield game is being developed by a huge number of people, and they're using a huge amount of equipment, and they're paying for like extra stuff. Like, I mean, for instance, I don't know if they do or not, but does Star Citizen use motion capture for anything? Because add that
Probably.
onto the list of costs. It's like the actual cost of development is massive, and yeah, they do have $85 million, but when you look at how much games like Destiny cost, how much games like Call of Duty cost, Star Citizen is bigger than those in terms of scale. It's bigger than those in terms of like features.
You know, Destiny is kind of an interesting game to bring up, because Destiny is almost like Star Citizen in a way that it launched with not a lot of content, but it launched with just enough to get you to play the game to then sell you more content. And Star Citizen doesn't have enough content to tempt you to buy more, but they are trying to sell you more content that doesn't exist yet. So they're in like a weird, like Activision and Destiny and Bungie have gone a clever way about milking people, whereas Star Citizen, it's a bit too much. It relies too much on the what could be.
Yeah,
thing,
and
you know?
the other thing as well that's only just occurred to me is when they say they've got like 927,000 pledges. How many? Yeah. I'd love to know how many of those pledges came from the same people. Because that's the other thing as well. If you've got I won't say a small number of people doing it, because to raise $350,000 in a week, it's obviously not a small number of people buying this stuff. But if, say, it's only 600,000 of those 927,000 people who are making new pledges and buying new ships, that's relying very heavily on a relatively small audience for such a big a big game, like a big development. And you're not going to be able to retain that kind of customer loyalty forever. I mean, Destiny has managed to do that largely because even though it's light on content, it's still a finished game. Like, it's still a finished product, and it still has new content patches. Whether you deem them worthy of actually the money that they charge for them, like expansions and so on, is kind of irrelevant. Because
But the way Destiny gets you to buy the expansions is because you play Destiny with your friends, and if
Yeah.
you don't buy the expansion, you don't get the new stuff. It's MMO
and it's
fever,
been,
basically.
and
you
it's
know?
been
You don't-
engineered, to be addictive and to keep you drawn back in.
It's a gambling.
Where is that?
whore
Where,
game.
where is that? Where is
Where
that
is this for
kind
Star
of-
Citizen?
Yeah, where is it for Star Citizen? Where is that? Urge to keep playing when the game itself, the thing you've actually paid for, isn't even implemented. Where's the urge to keep trying to find new stuff when the new stuff literally consists of, we've released a new ship, buy it. That is your new thing. That is your new bit of content. You have to pay for it, but you can't use it yet. I don't know how long they can continue doing that. And given that the focus of the game is, space-based combat exploration, trading, etc., and not things like the FPS, which, okay, they've said it's vital to the game, whatever. If they want to say that, that's fine. I'm not going to argue with them. But I'd be willing to put a significant amount of money on the fact that the majority of people who are still buying ships from Star Citizen are not buying ships in the hope of being able to shoot people in a first-person shooter. That's not why they're buying the $700 Dream Cruise Liner 7000. They do it because they want to fucking fly that ship, not so that they can run through the corridors going pew-pew at people with their space laser rifle. That's not what they've bought the game for. So, it's just kind of, I feel not vindicated, but I've kind of had this suspicion, and we've talked about it on Hotfix and other places before, where Star Citizen could be like in a position where it can't really win at this stage, and it's obviously not the hope that that's the case, but it's almost a relief to see someone else talk about it, because I feel like a lot of the time when you say stuff like this, especially about Star Citizen, it's like the darling of crowdfunded games, ain't it? It's like, it's the proof that if the people want it, they can make it happen. And no one, people said they didn't want space games anymore, but Star Citizen came out, they've raised 85 million. It's going to be brilliant. And then whenever we say things like, I don't actually know if this is going to go that well at this stage, I think this is kind of looking a bit rough. The overwhelming response is, no, you just be, it's just because it hasn't come out yet. Oh, it's just delayed. It's fine. It'll be okay. It'll be a really good game. It's kind of nice to see someone with a bit of experience actually kind of say, well, it might not be. And this is a very good reason as to why it might not be. And this isn't like some random idiot either. It's not like just some other YouTuber has gone, no, I don't think it'll work, mate. This is someone with experience kind of laying down figures and saying, actually, that's kind of unsustainable. So hopefully it doesn't collapse, but if it does, that could be a reason why. And it'll be, I think it's definitely something to keep an eye on, because you never know what's going to happen with that at this stage. So moving on, we've got a follow-up from last week, which was ESL.
Is this about drugs?
It's about drugs. Oh, yes.
God.
So here we go. So as we see here, ESL preparing new anti-doping rules following Kata's Adderall controversy. Now, I mean, we said this was
Katowice. I think.
Katowice,
Oh God.
sorry.
I think it's Katowice. No. Katowice. Or so, I don't know. It's a very
Katowice?
strange word. It's a Polish place.
Ah, okay.
It's a big arena in Poland, and they do loads of esports in there.
Ah,
But yeah,
right.
I've probably butchered it, so I'm sorry.
So, I mean,
Katowice. I don't
it's
know.
actually a very quick follow-up, really, because we said last week they will have to introduce some sort of like doping rule, and
You
that's,
calling me dopey, mate?
that's pretty much that's pretty much exactly what they've said, which is that they're not happy about it. So this is something that actually made me laugh, though, because it actually says about that guy saying, "Oh, we're all on Adderall." Whether or not that's true, it runs contrary to section 2.6.4 of the ESL1 rulebook, which states to play a match, be it online or offline, under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or other performance enhancers, is strictly prohibited and may be punished with exclusion from ESL1. Which makes sense, but the fact that they made no effort to enforce that makes that rule kind of laughable, because it's like saying, don't bomb in the pool, and then they don't actually look at the pool, so people just bomb in it, so it's fine. So what's happened is the ESL head of communications, Anna, I'm not going to try and read that name out. The integrity of our sport
Ros Wandel. I failed.
Yeah.
Ros, Anna Ros.
Anna Ros said, "The integrity of our sport is and always will be our biggest concern. When we first saw Frizen's comments, we focused immediately on kickstarting a policy-making process and adjusting the rules. We have worked on changes in our rules, reached out to authorities for support, and we're ready to announce our next steps in a couple of days." As for Frizen's case specifically, I can't talk today, it's unclear what, if anything, will happen to him. The rules don't currently set out specific punishments for infractions, and there's no precedent because, according to Anna, no one's ever been caught or admitted to doping before now. She's also pointed out that there's no proof that he isn't just trying to cause grief for Cloud9, which cut him loose due to his and the team's poor performance. So we're getting a nice bit of drama, like a spoonful of drama with your drugs to help it go down. We're taking the steps to level with traditional sports, and it's going to take a while before any esports organisation will administer regular drugs tests. We hope to speed this process up by proactively seeking advice from authorities and starting small. Full-blown drugs tests at sports events are far away, but that doesn't mean we can't and shouldn't try to tackle the issue. Now, is it just me, or
how are you reading this without your glasses on?
I've got the page magnified so people can see it.
I was going to say.
It's not bad though. I can just about see it.
Have you got contact lenses in?
I have not. No.
Christ.
But yeah, it's like this is a bit. Honestly, I expected more from this because you cannot have people taking drugs during competitions. You just can't. It even says in the rule book that you can't do it. And
yeah, but this is probably the same rule book where it says you must disclose branded deals on YouTube, but then if you don't, it don't matter. You know what I mean? It's like if the rules are not enforced, then there may as well not be the rule there in the first place. ESL though could, if they go hardcore into this and start rolling this out, maybe they're trying to, is their long-term plan, maybe establish themselves as like the global esports body. You know, like we spoke about.
Yeah.
The other week, like FIFA and people like that who are like the global bodies for their respective sports. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. It would be a clever move because there's no international organisation which does that.
No.
But like, I find it would be very. I doubt like Korean organisations would subscribe to that because they think they're the best, And why would they? Why should they? Who the hell are ESL? Well, ESL are quite big, but
on the other hand, saying that like full-blown drugs tests at esports events are far away, but that doesn't mean we can't and shouldn't try to tackle the issue. Why are they far away? If someone's outright said, "Yeah, we were taking performance-enhancing drugs at ESL," the response shouldn't be, "Oh man, we better do something about this. What are we going to do?" Well, we'll do something with rules. No, implement fucking drugs tests. It's like, what are people going to do? Just go, "Oh well, I'm not going to ESL anymore." Okay, great. How many tournaments are there the size of ESL? How many organisations the size of ESL are you going to go to instead of there? Exactly. Oh, that's right. There's fucking hardly any of them. So you're just missing out on a massive opportunity to earn a living. So what? Either take the drugs test, or lose out on possibly getting, some sort of championship win there or something, or, just don't go there and take a massive drop in how much you earn. It just seems a bit kind of, when they say they're taking steps to level with traditional sports, I don't understand why having it in the rules that you need to take a drugs test is a problem.
They say online and offline here. How the hell are you going to enforce this on an online tournament? Are you going to drugs test me while I'm sitting at home?
Yeah,
on Adderall or whatever it was called? You want a piss sample? I'll just get my mate to give me one and send it off. Well, they would though, wouldn't they? Anything that's easy, you can get around easy.
Does that mean we need to start seeing? No, you couldn't just have tournaments that are solely like.
No, you can't. Qualifiers have got to be online because the logistics are too crazy. I mean, you've got to think, if you're running esports teams, you can't send them all over the place for just a qualifier because it's going to cost loads of money in it. You just got to be able to do them offline. I don't think it is enforceable. It is for offline tournaments, but you could still get people screwed over in online phases of all the qualifiers before you get to the event. When you get to the event, maybe you don't take the drugs then or whatever, but they've still helped you beat other people. When they cheated, I think it was ESL Counter-Strike tournament, potentially. It was multiple Counter-Strike tournaments anyway, but they were using an aimbot, and they were using the aimbot on the computers. They were basically smuggling the aimbot in and using it on the tournament computers. That's what they were doing. And
ridiculous.
If they're going to do that, then
they're going to find ways to take drugs.
Yeah. Because how are you going to? Yeah, you know what I mean. It's just like
maybe people should just stop fucking cheating at games. I mean, maybe that's maybe that's something people should do. If you're going to go to a tournament to win by being the best, how about you don't fucking cheat? What about that? Just
And
a
I'd be
thought.
surprised if they don't come out any like massive stories with esports. Where I mean, there's already been like match fixing stuff, but like really big stuff. There's got to be like people are paid off. People take, it's like a boxer taking a dive, isn't it? Things like that.
We need something on the scale of Lance Armstrong to really kick things into gear.
Well, if you've got if you've got these tournaments which are worth quite a lot of money, there's got to be things going on behind the scenes because it's such an immature sport, and I'm classing every esport in this. Anybody who's like a veteran or like a grizzled con man must be able to fucking, work a way around this. And there's got to be corrupt teams. Maybe these are just wild allegations I'm throwing out. Maybe some of the big teams are corrupt. And I wouldn't be surprised if they wasn't.
Yeah.
But at
the moment, there's no real way to tell or...
No.
I don't know.
Well, about the example of Blizzard I gave last week with Heroes of the Storm and how their brackets are weird. So I guess you could say, but yes, the top seeds should, like Wimbledon, for example, the top seeds avoid each other, then they play each other at the end. But it wasn't so much about that. It was the top seeds avoid each other, but the top seed should not be playing seed number 4 or seed number 3 because he's probably going to beat them, but he's playing them in the round of 64 where that team gets kippered. But that team is literally better than 60 other teams and should be in the quarterfinal. That is... Okay, sometimes that could come down to like just bad luck, but it seems to happen quite a lot with Blizzard games. That does with Blizzard run tournaments.
So they're trying to artificially increase
get
the
best
excitement and stuff of the tournament, which is not really how it should work. I mean,
well, no. Look at the FA Cup, right? Football, the longest running football competition in the world, right? I think it might even be one of the longest running sports competitions ever, right? The FA Cup. Everybody has a chance in that. Premier League teams come in on the 3rd round, okay? So they don't have to go through all the qualifiers. Local teams, like, I don't know, what's a shit team around here? I was going to say Burton Albion, but they're not. They're actually not that bad anymore. But it doesn't matter. Like a really lower league team, which nobody's heard of, they could potentially end up playing a Premier League team, Yeah. But they've had to go through a load of qualifiers. Then they get to the Premier League teams. But the Premier League teams come in at the 3rd round. That's not like the 5th round, sorry, do they come in? I think it's the 5th round the Premier League teams come in. It's not like they're coming in like...
They're not coming in like on the first day and just like...
And they're also not coming in on the first day because if, Chelsea played fucking Grimsby Warriors or somebody, they're just going to annihilate them, ain't they? You know what I mean? It's like, well, that's just not fair. But that's not how... But whatever. I don't know. Esports is... I went through like me personally, I went through like I guess it was a fling with esports. I used to really watch a lot of esports. I really liked watching StarCraft. I watched some League of Legends. I even watched like the Dota competitions. Didn't know what was going on, but it was still quite entertaining.
I remember watching GSL.
Watched a bit of that. I used to watch loads of GSL because it's on in the morning about 10 or 11 o'clock. I'd watch it.
Yeah.
I watched all this shit and slowly, like now, it almost bores me. I don't know why, but I just don't necessarily care about esports anymore, really.
See, I used to watch the LCS like all the time. I really enjoyed watching that, but it just kind of fell off. But I'm not entirely sure why.
Like Rapid, like for me, just ended, and like one day it was almost like I can't be bothered watching this anymore.
It was the same. I just stopped watching, and then I tried to get back into it by going onto Reddit, and they had like recommendations for the best matches, and I watched like maybe 1 or 2 the week, and then
it was like Evo that happened at the weekend. I don't I've got no interest in fighting games really.
I mean, it's obviously on the rise, but with stuff like this, it's like at some point something's going to really set it back because there's like little to no regulation, and I don't, as you say, how the hell are you supposed to even enforce a lot of these rules for online tournaments? There's just no way of doing it, and without having an absolute stranglehold on things like the way Riot do, how are you going to actually do anything? And having such a stranglehold kind of prevents different leagues and tournaments from really happening. So it then just goes on lockdown. And
Riot are the only company that can do it. Yeah, Riot are the only company that can do that because the game is so big anyway. It's like, who the hell could actually promote their game anymore? Blizzard have got a weird sort of approach to it where they do their own thing. But generally, what they do is kind of a bit backwards to what other companies have been doing with their games, and they've had problems in the past with regulation and problems with like licensing and all kinds of shit they've had. Then you've got people like Valve, who just anyone who can run a competition. And if you look at the meteoric rise of Counter-Strike Global Offensive, I mean, that is like literally the top or the second most viewed game on Twitch.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Almost all the time now.
Absolutely insane.
How? Because it's a solid product and cheap entry of barrier of entry, and
cheap entry
everybody
of
runs. Yeah, entry of barrier. And everybody. I don't know why brains do that, but everybody can run tournaments.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. We're going to see more stuff like that. We're going to see more like scandals and stuff as it gets bigger. And
I think it's just a massive drama cesspit. Esports.
It'll be some sort of catastrophic event, and we can all sit there and try and work out what the hell happened to that guy and why did he end up with someone else with blood in him or something. A la Lance Armstrong again.
But you're obsessed with him.
I hate him.
He was quality bloke. He was quality.
Absolute scumbag.
He just pumped up on the good stuff.
And when he sat there, he's like, "No, I never cheated. Never. I never cheated. Oh yeah, I cheated. Fuck off, bastard." So I'd tell you what. Moving on to this is a bit of Xbox news. Here, and there's like a double whammy of Xbox news.
I wonder if my Xbox still works.
It hasn't been turned on since it was bought. So
it hasn't been turned on since. Got to be 5 months, I reckon.
I haven't turned my PS4 on for ages either. I should really.
No, I was playing mine yesterday. I was playing Journey on it.
Yeah, I need to download Journey. I want to play it again. So this is this is depressing. This is now the most requested game for Xbox One backwards compatibility, and it is Call of Duty Black Ops 2. So it was Red Dead Redemption, but apparently people love a bit of the Black Ops 2 there.
Yeah, I think they do.
I've got the article up, although that's kind of most of the information. But it says here, following Microsoft's E3 announcement of backwards compatibility for Xbox 360 games on Xbox One, the company posted a poll on its website asking users to vote for which 360 games they want to receive support on the new console. Rockstar's 2010 game Red Dead Redemption quickly rose to the top of the charts, but now Black Ops 2 has edged it out because there's no other Call of Duty game you can even play on Xbox at all ever. It's just so shit. Why, of all the goddamn games?
But you've got to understand the Call of Duty fan base is like the biggest fan base ever in console games. Yeah, Black Ops 2 is widely renowned as the best multiplayer one. Yeah. Now, we played Modern Warfare. That was quality. Apparently,
True.
Black Ops 2 is very similar to Modern Warfare, the way it works.
Really?
I never played the multiplayer for Black Ops 2.
No.
I may have done like for maybe 2 minutes or something. I don't know. I own it, though, but I never did. I enjoyed Advanced Warfare. I like that multiplayer because of the exosuit movement. Made it a bit more like Quake. Call of Duty fans hate that shit.
No one else did, yeah.
Yeah, they hate that because, well, I've explained it before, but I'll just quickly recap it. Call of Duty is like a flow generally around the map, and if you kill somebody, they then respawn over there, then you get to come round to them, and then you're sort of going around in a cycle like this. But with Advanced Warfare, because of the movement, you could quickly get behind people, and this pattern was screwed. So you get killed a lot from behind because you're not moving really quick. Which, unless you're like some sort of Twitch FPS player on PC, like who plays, I don't know, Quake Live or something, or Unreal Tournament, you're not used to people being behind you, so you're always looking in front. And I guess on the consoles, because sensitivity is shit compared to a mouse, that is hard to turn around quick.
Yeah.
Or something. So a lot of people get killed from behind. They hate that. So that's why it's not been seen very well. But Black Ops 2, people say the zombies was great in it. I think Zombies in World at War was the best. Was that not the first one?
I think it was. I think
it was
it was
awesome. I mainly say that because I never played the Black Ops 2 Zombies. But yeah, this does show you. Like, I look at this as a PC gamer, right, who owns the new generation consoles and doesn't have the old generation. Or, well, I do. I've got a PS3, but I don't want to play on those because they are abysmal to look at. Like, really abysmal. I can't handle it, yeah? I want Red Dead Redemption. That's what I would want. I can't get it on PC. So I can get it on console, give it me on my Xbox One, and I'd play it, yeah? I do not want Black Ops 2 because I can play that on my PC.
Yeah.
Skyrim is laughable to me. Modern Warfare 2 was absolutely terrible, so I don't know why that's there.
When you look at the list, I'll go back to the list quickly so people can see. I mean, when you look at this, Number 1, Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Number 4, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Number 6, Call of Duty Black Ops. Number 9, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Number 10, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Number 12, Call of Duty World at War. Just in case, like, if you are a PC gamer exclusively and you don't really touch the consoles and you only kind of vaguely get news about them from websites or from us or whatever, that should give you an indication. Call of Duty just rules console. It rules it with an iron fist.
Guys, go out into the real world.
There is no hope.
Go out into the real world and say, hello, do you play games? They'll say yes. What do you play? Call of Duty,
FIFA.
Destiny, FIFA.
That's something, actually. I was going to say, I'm surprised there's no FIFA on the list, but every single FIFA seems to be the same anyway. So it's.
But you know what? Why haven't Activision just? I think there was news about this or some sort of talk about it a couple of weeks ago, where they were going on about maybe like releasing HD versions of their old games. I think they will.
Yeah.
If they needed evidence, there's some evidence here for them. If they just started releasing, like, if they suddenly came out with like Modern Warfare, or just started, well, I guess Modern Warfare, or even maybe the old, that would be good if they brought out Call of Duty and Call of Duty 1 on the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4.
If there was a Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare remastered, I would actually play that.
I would play it. That was fucking great. That game was. I was a beast at that
a lot. Even I was fucking good at that.
UAV online
FPS. It was quality.
UAV.
But online. The other bit of console news, which just it just shows the inexorable rise of the PC, which I've just made that up. I'm not really
inexorable. Is it inexorable?
I always say inexorable, but I could be wrong.
Inexorable. I don't know.
It's another one where no one ever uses that word. I've only
Is it synapse or synapse?
Synapse.
Is it schedule or schedule?
See, I say schedule.
Schedule. That's the English one, I think.
Yeah.
Is it wrath or wrath? That's easy.
I would say wrath.
It's wrath, but wrath just sounds stupid.
Wrath sounds
wrath
shit.
of the Lich King. What?
Wrath sounds
wrath,
solid.
mate. Yeah.
So this is your mouse will soon work with your Xbox One. Now this just
right. Fuck this. Yesterday,
just buy a PC.
No, right. Yesterday, one of my cards had expired. Right on the PS4. So I'm there with this abomination. I'm like, buy Journey. I'm sorry, your card details have expired. Oh no. So this means I've got to enter them, isn't it? So I'm entering them with this. I didn't know you could use your keyboard. You can plug your keyboard into the PS4 and just type away on it. Yeah, I didn't know this. I think you can do it on the Xbox One as well.
I've got like 8 keyboards in this room. I've been using this stupid controller as well whenever I use it.
But I sat there for like 5 minutes dribbling. I was so angry. I went onto Twitter. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. I've just done something. It could have took me like 15 seconds tops. It took me 5 minutes. Christ. But yeah, I mean, does this mean I can use the mouse on an FPS game? Because it would be so funny to, like, this would make for a great video, to get Call of Duty, plug my mouse and keyboard in, and just fucking wreck everyone.
Yeah, it would be. See, this is the thing. It's like, what this is for is, someone tweeted and said about, and asked Phil Spencer about, will we be able to mirror our PC to Xbox One with Windows 10? Now, that's actually not a bad idea. If you've got an Xbox One, you've got a PC, you want to play a PC game downstairs. Same thing with
like that idea.
What is it? The little Steam
Valve
Relay,
Steam
whatever it's
thing.
called.
Yeah. Just stream it. It's like in-home streaming of the game.
It would just be the same principle as that, but of course you'd need a mouse and keyboard to play a lot of PC games. And they've said in the article that it's about RTS effectively, but Phil Spencer said, still finishing Xbox to Windows 10 streaming right now. I like the idea of Windows 10 to Xbox streaming, but don't have a plan yet. Someone says, for this, Xbox need
mouse support.
For this, Xbox need mouse support. And Phil Spencer says, yep, keyboard and mouse support for Xbox would need to be there for this to work. Those aren't far away. So
yeah, and he's like, mouse, the keyboard works, but mouse is what we need to add. That's interesting. You know, I'm gonna. You know what? If I could use my keyboard and mouse on a console, I would use the console much more.
Yeah, this is it. I was thinking about this, and I actually, when the what are they called? The Steam valves, or the Steam Relay. Whatever.
You've reminded me. I ordered a Steam controller. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, is it right? But it's not arrived yet, has it?
No, they've not been sent out yet.
I can't remember what it's called. You know the little box that you can stick in your telly downstairs, and it connects to your network, and you can stream Steam games to it and play them downstairs. I can't remember what it's called.
I know what it. Yeah, just call it the Steam Relay. That sounded fancy.
Yeah. So
whatever it is.
When I saw that, I was like, that would be good, because I do most of my gaming on the PC. If I'm playing a game with my wife, it'd be nice to play it downstairs on the massive telly, and we wouldn't have to crowd round the PC. That'd be good. If I had an Xbox One downstairs that I could use for watching DVDs or Netflix or whatever, and I could just stream any game I wanted from my PC as well, I would absolutely do that. I'd be quite happy with that. That's actually a really good idea. And it just made me wonder if, I know they were talking about how the Xbox One is going to be like, the hub. It's like, everything you want in the Xbox One. If it did do all of that, would we be closer to actually having a genuine all-in-one entertainment system? Like, if you could turn on your Xbox One and you had a choice of either playing music or going onto Netflix or literally watching TV, or if you don't have TV, watching like digital channels, like streaming services. And then you were like, oh, well, I don't want to play whatever Xbox One games in there, but I would like to play, I don't know, Active Aggression, just as off the top of my head. And you get your keyboard and mouse, your wireless one that you got stored under the table, and you just go, brilliant, I'm just going to stay here and play. That would actually be really, really good, and I would like that. But would that cause any problems for them, or would it just make them sell more? I mean,
you know what's going to happen? I tell you what's going to happen with this. Games like Call of Duty and whatever just won't have mouse support in them. That'll be the thing. It'll be you can use the operating system, you can connect to your Windows PC and blah blah blah, but you can't actually play Xbox games with them, because that'd be the killer thing for me. Like I said, if I could play, I know there are things you can buy. There's like crazy control things which you can buy, which you plug into the consoles and you plug your mouse into it, and it maps the console controls to the mouse, so you can use the mouse. And there's videos of people playing Halo 4, or is it 3? No, it's 4, isn't it? The latest one. With it, and it's like way better, and it's like, whoa, this guy's like a beast, sort of thing, because he can aim with the mouse. Although it's not true mouse movement, because it's got like smoothing on and God knows what. So I don't know. I guess it's interesting though. I mean, for me, I just need more shit on the thing to actually make me turn it on. That isn't Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got Call of Duty in my fucking. I've got it over here. I think I'm gonna find it, bloke.
You Call of Duty multiplayer player,
mate. I just got it given me. Activision love me.
Oh, was that the free one that would just arrive? Yeah. The press one, where it was just like, I have a copy of Call of Duty. And
they sent me on PC.
They sent me one as well. They sent me one for Xbox One, and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? I don't have an Xbox One.
Look, you can see it's obviously a press one. It says, look, not for paid promotion, but it's not even open. But that's the latest Call of fucking.
Yeah, it's got Kevin Spacey's head on the back of it, so that gives it added value.
I like the single player campaign in that. I liked it, but I always do.
It was ridiculous. That's the best part about Call of Duty. I don't care about the multiplayer. Just give me this stupid, idiot cinematic campaign experience. But
sometimes do you feel like you've been robbed, bloke? Because we like Modern Warfare, didn't we? And we like Counter-Strike. And when you look at what you've got now, if only that was there when we first played them.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been robbed.
Yeah. It needs to arrive about...
Especially Counter-Strike.
Can you 5 or 6 years ago.
Christ. Can you imagine...
I mean, I still know Office better than any map in any game ever, because that's the only fucking map we played for like easily 6 months. It was just that one server, wasn't it, that always played Office. Terrorist, Office, that was me done. Every time. Ridiculous. So this is, actually, I really like this. This is a good story. I'm hoping that this applies to PC eventually as well. This is Dishonored Definitive Edition is half off if you own the original. Now, I like this because it's, you know when you get mail like from Virgin Media or BT or whatever mobile provider, and it's like, oh, this is our new offer, 200 quid off for new customers. And then when you look at it, you're like, I'm already a customer. What do I get off? And they go, you get fucking nothing off because you're already with us. So if you want a discount, you can go fuck yourself. We don't care about you. We're already taking your money. I don't like that. I like this because if you have the Definitive Edition on PS4 or Xbox One, it's half off. So it's half off its usual 30 quid asking price if you own the original game on PSN. So if you already got the game, you get a discount. It's for Xbox One as well.
Right, so PSN is great for this. The cross compatibility. If you've got a Vita, right, and you've got like a PlayStation 3 and you've got a PlayStation 4, and you buy a game that is cross-compatible, you can play it on all of them.
Yeah.
Which is like really fucking good because you basically got 3 copies of the game, which is okay. Yeah, not everything works on a Vita, not everything works on a PS3, or not everything works on a PS4, I guess. But to have that there is good. And like you said, this does reward you for being a customer. Why people and companies want to reward people for not being customers while ignoring? I guess they want to tempt people in. I get that, but to ignore your customers already is stupid. And you know what? I want this, but not on the consoles. And I bet you can get it cheaper on the PC anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, this is like the absolute opposite of the stuff we heard about Destiny, where it's like, oh, if you want the collector's edition, you have to buy all of the stuff you've already bought at original price, and then a bit more to get like the new stuff that you're not going to get, even though you've played since day one. This is like the absolute opposite. It's literally, if you've already got the original game, then you get this definitive edition half off. It looks better. It's got more content. There you go. I mean, that's way better. That's way better. I want to see more companies doing stuff like this, actually rewarding people for playing the game. Where if they release a new version of it, instead of having to pay full price, like look at Scholar of the First Sin, that was bullshit.
Yeah,
just a reworking of the game, and it was like people who bought it on PS3 and whatever, and PC, it was like, oh yeah, well here you go, buy the game again. It's the same content, we just reorganised it a bit. Oh, and it looks a bit better. Buy it full price. No. No, why would you? Why would you do that? I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for the fact that it was on a Steam sale for like, I think was it £3 or something? It was something really low, really low.
They're normally like £3.75, ain't they?
Yeah,
like 75% off.
I wouldn't have done it because that's pretty fucking insulting. Because I already had Dark Souls 2 on the machine, so why would you pay full price? But this, I like this. I want to see more companies doing stuff like this. Actually rewarding players.
Talking about this, Hearthstone expansion got released, yeah? It got announced, right? Talking about, like, having a good,
bit of an
potentially screwing people over. Yeah. The Grand Tournament card packs will be available for pre-purchase next week. You can grab 50 for $1 each and thereby unlock a new card pack. So what this is you can pre-order card packs that do not exist yet in an expansion that isn't out yet in Hearthstone, and if you do, we'll give you a card back.
So I've highlighted that. What I want to point out is when it says $1 each, $1,
$50.
How much do you want to bet in pounds sterling that it won't be the exchange rate accurate? It will be $1, €1, £1. I'd put money on it. I would actually put money on it being that. Because it would be like, what, 60?
It's a shame we don't know because it's not available yet, is it, for pre-purchase? Because that's next week. Maybe. No. I think it will be $39.99. It'll be a bundle price of $39.99, I bet.
When it says... Okay, hang on. Let's just... I'm confused by this, actually. I've only just realised I'm confused by this. When it says the Grand Tournament card packs will be available for pre-purchase next week, you can grab 50 for $1 each.
That's the deal, yeah.
That's 50 card packs, not 50 cards. 50 card packs. There's 132 new cards, right? And each pack...
I'm getting confused now.
If I remember correctly, in Hearthstone, each pack you get 5 cards, don't you?
Yeah, but you get like loads of duplicate cards, don't you? So
you do, but 5 times 50. So you got like what, 250 cards to open? Would you not get? This is. No, I feel like this is a ridiculous deal. Like I feel like this is a bit mental. Like they actually, given how they like to gouge people, Blizzard. Let's face it, and they do because all of their cosmetic.
You want to buy a $10
massively expensive
Muradin Warrior skin?
Exactly. I feel like $1 for a pack of 50. Well, 50 packs of cards is like really good.
Yes, but here's the thing. Goblins and whatever came out this year, didn't it?
It
that
did.
Was an expansion.
You know what?
Right?
Every time I go back to Hearthstone and I look at like new decks,
it's totally different.
Get this card from Goblins and things. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how to get those cards.
Maybe it didn't come out this year. Or... I don't know. It came out recently anyway. Yeah. Now you've got the Grand Tournament. That there is a $50 expansion box price, and they've sold an expansion to this already this year so far. That is why it may appear like a good deal to you, but for them, they've sold you 2 expansions to a game that is more expensive than an expansion
true.
to World of Warcraft. Obviously, you're paying the subscription fee. So it's really clever, Hearthstone is, and the way Blizzard do it. Like, they are constantly getting you to spend money on the game. Maybe not too dissimilar to the way Destiny operates. Because, you know, if you don't get these cards, then you're probably going to be shafted. Because I know you kind of shafted without the goblins versus whatever. Gnomes. Goblins versus gnomes, isn't it? Cards. And 132 cards, that's a lot of cards. And I watched the Blizzard reveal on Twitch, which, by the way, was one of the worst produced streams I have ever seen. Like, random shit was happening. Like, the Windows taskbar would just appear on the screen. It's like, what? And then, like, it was Trump versus Amaz. And it was obviously a staged game. You know, they were making plays that they'd obviously been told to make and whatever. Because I know Blizzard are very controlling like that, apparently.
Yeah.
But Trump's window just disappeared to like the Windows desktop at one point, and it's just got like dev build Hearthstone exe or some shit. It was like really cheap, but the cards were pretty mental. Like the first game, Trump was playing as a mage, and one of the cards, every time it like I think you cast a spell or something, it would just like randomly give you another card like of the same value of the card it is of any deck of all the cards in the game. It's like, what the hell? And it was going really crazy, and they're like, this looks to be like the expansion is going to be mental, like to the point of it's just going to be so random you don't know what's going on. But obviously, like we've said before, it is kind of a bit random anyway. This is just making it even more random, but making it more like appealing to like if me and you had a game, we literally would not know what is going to happen. It would just be like, oh shit, now oh god, what the hell's happened here? And it would be fun in that respect. And they seem to be going down that path quite heavily now. But Hearthstone, man, I would really like to know how much money this game has made.
I bet it's made just an enormous amount between people buying, just like going, I can spend like 10 quid on packs. You know, that's not much. I can do that. And then they find they're doing that every other day, and you know, unlocking all the wings. Those people who don't play the game regularly, like, but they want to play the solo adventure, like BlackRock and whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna lie. The first one for BlackRock, I didn't have enough gold for that because I hadn't played the game in ages. I paid for the first wing of that because I was like,
I did as well.
I've not played this for ages. I fancy playing it. I quite like it.
Hang on, I don't think I've got BlackRock. I've got Naxxramas. That's what I've got.
I had enough. I had just enough gold to do Naxxramas from when I was actually playing the game, because I just didn't spend gold on anything, including packs, because I was just spamming my way through like an idiot with that sort of face hunter deck that I had. But I didn't have enough for BlackRock, so I bought the first wing. I was like, it's what, like 5 quid? I can justify that. It'll take me a while to beat it, then I can do it on heroic mode. That's fine. I'll do that. I bet a lot of people do it. I bet there are a lot of. I know there's like a lot of people who grind the game hardcore and they play it for hours every day, etc. But there's also going to be an extensive casual player base who aren't too fussed about what their ladder ranking is, but they do want to see the new solo adventure, and so they'll pay for it. And as you say, it's a properly priced expansion when you add all the wings up and everything. But people will still pay it, which
people will pay for new content, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. And I don't understand why they've not applied this to World of Warcraft, and when will they do that?
Yeah.
You know, if they were selling dungeons in World of Warcraft, people would buy them all day.
Yeah, they would.
You know, $5 for a 3 dungeon package access or something.
They're prepared to spend like 20 quid on a fucking flying unicorn, so they'd absolutely buy a dungeon. But then maybe they don't want to split the player base, because that can be the death of some games. Like when you get some people have bought it, some people haven't, and then their group wants to do it, but they can't.
You know, Sony Online Entertainment were one of the first companies to do this with EverQuest 2. They called them, oh my god, what did they call them? Adventure something?
Adventure Pack.
Might have been. Hang on.
I just guessed it'd be quite if that was what it's actually called.
Yeah, it is called an Adventure Pack.
I knew it.
Because I remember, Adventure Pack. So the Bloodline Chronicles, March 2005. I remember buying this, and the Split Paw Saga, and the Fallen Dynasty, because we got the world first kill in that. So what they did, I'll send you a link here. You can show this off. Linky is go.
One linky.
So if you scroll down here, you can see the expansions, yeah?
Yes.
I stopped playing the game. Echoes of Fader. So 2006 is when I stopped. Yeah.
Yeah.
But up until that, Shattered Lands. Well, that was just when the game came out. Bloodline Chronicles. That was
Yeah, I
the.
see it.
It was like it was the price of a month's subscription. It was so it was like £8, and it gave you access to special like dungeons in Nectarless Forest with vampires in. It wasn't very good though. Like that wasn't very good. Like
Yeah.
Splitpore Saga, I can't remember too much about that one either. I don't think that was too good either. But it was more content, you know, like it was more like dungeons
Yeah,
to run
yeah.
through. Desert of Flames was a full-blown expansion. Kingdom of Sky was another full-blown expansion. And then Fallen Dynasty, that was really good. What that was, yeah, you know, Timeless Isle on World of Warcraft? It was like
Yes.
that. It was an island with an oriental, because it's the Fallen Dynasty, like an oriental design. And it had 3 zones in it, I think. It had a raid instance in it, which was Sheldrak, which was, we got, I think we were like the 3rd or maybe the 2nd in the world to kill that. Maiden of the Lake was was the hardest thing in the game at that moment in time, and it was a bit cheap that it was in the adventure pack because people were going crazy about it. But the hardcore guilds didn't care, you know, they'd lap up that shit.
Yeah.
I think we might have got 1st or 2nd for that Maiden of the Lake, but she was really solid, and she was one of those raid mobs that are just outside in the open that everyone can fight like.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, they did that. But then if you look after Fallen Dynasty, they just stopped doing it.
Yeah.
Like they just gave up because nobody was buying it. But I bet you now, if they did it now, people would start buying it. You know,
Yeah.
but what they
I think
seem
they
to be
probably
doing is
would.
releasing an expansion every year. Oh no, actually at the bottom, sorry, Rum Cellar Campaign. Look, they've started to bring it back.
Yeah. DLC
Adventure pack.
adventure pack.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Mental. It's crazy to me that there's still DLC even now. I mean,
Well, yeah, because that must have at least like 30,000 players or something like that. Got less players than the original EverQuest,
yeah.
but you know, like how as years go on, it becomes cheaper and cheaper to run MMOs, doesn't it? Because bandwidth costs go down, server costs go down, as performance goes
Yeah.
up. So you know, they've probably just got like one fucking server rack. It just runs the whole lot and makes them a load of money.
Covered
It's
in
fucking easy money.
in a cellar somewhere covered in dust.
Yeah. Oh god. But yeah, I thought that was interesting anyway because
Yeah.
I don't know. We're sort of going back down this path with like Hearthstone's little mini expansions are the same sort of thing. They must have looked back at this older stuff for inspiration, maybe, or something. I like to think they did. But I'm just looking at this list now, and like I never played Rise of Kunark, Shadow Odyssey, Sentinel's Fate, Destiny of Velius, Age of Discovery, Chains of Eternity, Tears of Vishan. I think that was the moon. I think the moon exploded in EverQuest. An altar of Malice sounds a bit.
But they're wizards on it. Because if there weren't wizards on it, I don't want to know.
I don't know who was on the moon. Somebody blew it up though. It might have been wizards, you know. It might have been. It might have been. Or
God.
magician. I don't know. I can't remember the fucking law, bloke.
EverQuest did it first.
Hmm.
So that is all the topics we have this week. And, well, we'll obviously be back next week with more delightful news of wonder and delight and hopefully good news. We never seem to cover good news, like really, really good news. There's never anything that's like this game that no
Yeah.
one knew about has turned up and exploded and been the best game ever, but no one knew it was being made. And now the guy is a multi-millionaire, but he's given all the money to charity. We never see that. So there's your challenge for next week. Someone make that
There's
happen.
your challenge for next week. I'm right on it, boss. What happens if I do it, bloke? I go away and invent a game with no programming knowledge whatsoever, and within a week sell it, and Microsoft buy it out for $1 billion, and then I just start showering money on everyone, making it rain like that guy did over Seb Blatter.
That would be amazing. That would actually film it. It'd get 1 million views. Easy.
Film it. Why would I bother filming it? Right, I'm out of here.
Just for
I've
the
got
publicity.
places to be.
As always, link is up there to Patreon and down there. Anything that you can give us really helps. It keeps the show running. And if you do support us between now and the next Hotfix, then you get a shout out at the start of the show. And come back on Saturday at 2 p.m. GMT, which is
With BST
whatever-
at the moment. With GMT
BST.
+1.
yeah,
Mate, yeah,
BST,
fucking with
GMT
it.
+1,
GMT +5 +6.
which is something in your time zone if you Google it, which is the least helpful I could possibly be. But I'm not doing it because I'm going now. So we will see you next week.
Goodbye.
Toodaloo.